Hello, everyone, and welcome to another MTE preview episode here on the Sports Daily Media Network YouTube channel. I'm your host, Sean Vowells, and as usual, I'm joined by Mike Koomar. Today, Mike and I will preview the Shriners Children's Charleston Classic from South Carolina. It gets underway on Thursday, November 21st. It has the 8 teams involved that you can see on your screen. None of them scream out to you national championship contender, but all of them are solid enough that maybe the winner of this tournament might be able to get into the NCAA tournament. So, Mike, this is the one that's leading us off, and we've got the 4 games up there that are the round 1 games, and we will get into each one of those. But, Mike, what are your overarching thoughts here on the field that the Charleston Classic has compiled?
Look, I think this is going to be a pretty entertaining tournament. I don't know how many teams that we have that are going to be playing in the big dance. I suspect we've got 2. But this is a lot of interesting mid-majors to look for. I'm really curious to see how Florida Atlantic plays. This is their first season without Dusty May. I know, Sean, we're going to talk in depth about them. I'm also curious about Virginia Commonwealth. What do we know about them? What are their strengths? How would they match up against some of these teams in bigger conferences? So those are my 2 teams that I'm really curious to watch out for. I think this is going to be a really exciting tournament. I probably, if I'd be in town this weekend, I'd probably be there, but I won't. So, I think this is an exciting tournament.
All right, up first tomorrow, noon on ESPN2. We've got a rematch from the round of 64 in the NCAA tournament a couple years ago. Now, the Drake Bulldogs are a whole lot different now. Their coach is gone. Their best player is gone. Miami against Drake. Jim Larinaga still in charge down there in Coral Gables. The Hurricanes are 3-0. None of the games have been particularly close. They still have Nigel Pack. They still have Matthew Cleveland. They did get Jalen Blackman from Stetson. They have 6 players who are averaging 10 points a game through their first 3. And then in terms of Drake, they have 3 victories, a Division II win, Stephen F. Austin, and Florida Gulf Coast. Mike, it's pretty sure that Drake are underdogs here. They're more than double digits, but you have to think that you have to give them at least half a chance with what we've seen from them over the past couple of years and the inconsistencies that we've seen from Miami.
Yeah, I think you definitely give them a chance. I don't think Drake's going to end up really winning this game. I think they're probably going to finish towards the back half of this tournament, but you never know, right? This is still early on. Miami still has not been proven. It's a good Miami team. They lost Norshad Omier to Baylor, but they still have a lot of great players returning, like Nigel Pack, we said, who probably could be first-team All-ACC this year. So I'm going to go with Miami. I think they'll win by double digits, but like you said, you never know.
Yeah, I think Miami will win also. We'll go through our picks again at the end, but we both have Miami here. And remember, just if you lose and you're not in the championship bracket here, every team will get 3 games. So that'll be something to look out for. Even if your team here loses the first game, you can still leave 2-1 with 2 wins over teams that are in a good spot. All right, the second game here of the morning session is going to be one of the more interesting ones of the MTE, I think, Mike. We've got Florida Atlantic playing against Oklahoma State. We were talking about this a little bit before we recorded, but Florida Atlantic has been in Charleston for a little bit. They played in the Field of 68 Invitational with games against Charleston and Liberty. They go 1-1 in those. They looked pretty good in their loss to UCF too. And then, so they come in at 3-2, but I think we are both giving them a whole lot more respect than that. And they're playing against 3-0 Oklahoma State. New look for them, new coach from last year. They have 3 not convincing wins in bye games. So you have to say, Mike, the line here was at 2.5 when I made this graphic earlier today, but now it's even gone to 1.5. Oklahoma State, very slight favorites, but should be pretty close to a coin toss game.
Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma State had 2 pillow fight wins against St. Thomas and then against Southern Illinois, neither of which were impressive victories. Florida Atlantic, on the flip side, they are 3-2, right, which is not a great start to the year. But you look at, they had a 6-point loss at UCF, a UCF team that is supposed to be much improved from last year in the top conference in college basketball. They then go and have a heartbreaking loss to Charleston in one of the best games to begin this year. In double overtimes, it took a buzzer beater from Sean, what, half court?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, nuts game. Look, there's no more Dusty May. They lost a lot of good players. But on the flip side, they've got a fantastic new coach in John Jacobs who came from Baylor. They've also got some fantastic new talent. I like the Owls to get this job done. I think they're still a really good team, and I think they are arguably going to be the favorites of the American Conference, depending on this out-of-conference season goes with Memphis. So I like the Owls.
Yeah, they probably do have to win this to be an at-large consideration.
Mm-hmm.
And not to spoil it, Mike, but I think they have a good chance of winning this whole thing. I like them to win this. They have a really solid roster, considering that everybody from last year's team is playing somewhere else. So I think they beat Oklahoma State here, and I think it's a game that might not be that close.
Yeah.
All right, Game 3 of the day will be at 5 o'clock on ESPN2. We've got Shaheen Holloway and the Seton Hall Pirates going up against VCU. Two teams that struggle to score the ball, but have really good defenses. Mike, forget about first to 50. This one might be first to 40.
Yeah, I mean, Seton Hall has been awful this year. They lost to Fordham. They lost
Hofstra.
to Hofstra, and I think they only scored 49 in that game. And then they scored 54 in a win against Wagner. Those are three terrible teams. I get it, they blew out Wagner, but they only scored 54 points. That's not impressive at all. So I think VCU is going to come in and they're going to take care of business. I don't even think this is going to be close. Look, we still don't know that much about VCU. They're 4-0. They've had a pretty okay start to the year. They did beat Boston College by 25 in a convincing game earlier, and then have regular wins against Bellarmine, Merrimack, and Loyola Maryland. But regardless, look, if this season continues for Shaheen Holloway, this might be his last in South Orange.
Yep.
Like, this is really bad.
Yeah, both teams are very good on the defensive end. VCU beat Merrimack. Merrimack is a pretty good team. To hold them to only 42. Merrimack's played well against some bigger names. And in terms of Seton Hall, they're as good as it gets defensively. And I think that's something that might play in a 3 games in 4 days situation where you're not getting much scout. You're tired. But people aren't going to be tired in this first game. I think VCU will win. I think Seton Hall will be dangerous if in games 2 and 3 here, just because at that point in the tournament, Mike, when you're playing third time in 4 days, this is a Thursday, Friday, Sunday tournament. I think everybody knows your stuff by then. You only have so many plays that you can run, and
Yeah.
I think Seton Hall might leave this tournament 2-1, but with a first round loss. So I think VCU will win also. We have agreed on all 3 here. All right, Game 4 here of the Charleston Classic is going to be a rather interesting one. We have got Vanderbilt playing up against Nevada. A.J. Hoggard led Vanderbilt. If you remember him, Michigan State fans, you probably wish you didn't. They've got a couple other good players in there. Jason Edwards averaging 17.5 points a game. Devin McLaughlin averaging 16. Tyler Nickel, the former North Carolina player, averaging 12. So Vanderbilt has carved out a pretty solid starting lineup here. They are 4-0. They did beat Cal in their only game against a power conference team handily. So far, so good for Mark Byington and the Commodores. Nevada has 4 wins also and no losses. They did beat Big Ten's Washington by 10 at home. And, Mike, they are way higher on KenPom than I expected. They're inside the top 40, which is the reason why they are favorites here. Now, it has come down since the graphic. It is no, it hasn't. It is 4.5. Nevada is favored by 4.5. But both teams have been pretty solid compared to expectations so far.
Yeah, both teams, they're doing pretty well. They've got a Power 4 win for Vanderbilt. It's against Cal, and for Nevada, it's against a pretty good Washington team. So I think this is going to be the most – a lot of these games are going to be very even. I think this is no exception that this is going to be a very even matchup. I'm going to pick the Wolfpack of Nevada to win this game. They've just got a little bit more experience here. And look, this Vanderbilt team could end up being really good, but it is a brand new look team, a lot of new players. a brand new head coach. So I'm going to go with Wolfpack on this one.
All right. So we previewed all those games. Now, we're not going to preview potential matchups in an 8-team. I know we've done that in our 4-team tournaments. That would take far too long. So, Mike, you've got Miami versus FAU. Who's going to the championship?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a really good one, but I'm going to go with Miami in this one. They've just got too much experience coming back. Nigel Pack, I think, is going to take over that game. He's going to win for Miami, and I think Miami's going to end up winning this whole thing.
Well, I'm sorry. I actually forgot. I have Vanderbilt beating Nevada. Forgot to say that for my first round game.
You did.
And I have FAU beating Miami. I just think that FAU really does have a lot of depth. They just won a game against a good Liberty team in this same arena the day after they played 50 minutes against Charleston. And they looked good. And that one was in overtime, too. So they played 95 minutes of basketball in 2 days and won the second game. So I think this could play into their hands as well. You've got VCU versus Nevada, Mike. Who is playing Miami in your championship game?
I'm going to go with the Rams. I'm going to go with VCU. They've just got such a strong defensive team. And like they said, defense wins championships. So I'm going to go with VCU.
Yep, I've got VCU versus Vanderbilt here. I do think the Commodores get another victory, this time against VCU. So, Mike, your championship game is VCU versus Miami. You got the Hurricanes?
I'm going with the U. Now, I will say, I think there's a very strong possibility that Miami could finish fourth, right? I think all of these top 4 teams are so evenly matched. I just go with the experience of Nigel Pack and company, Jim Larniega. Who knows if this is going to be his last season or not? It very well could be, but this would be a great way to start his one of his last seasons out with a bang.
And I've got Florida Atlantic against Vanderbilt. I am going with John Jacobs and the Owls to win the Charleston Classic.
Yeah.
Mike, the 8 teams in this tournament, I think you can make a reasonable case that 5 of them could win this tournament, maybe 6. And I think everybody could leave with 2 wins. I'll say that. I think everybody could leave with 2 wins.
I don't see Seton Hall leaving with 2 wins, but I agree with you that 7 of these 8 teams could come away with 2 wins. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I see 2 tournament teams here, but who knows what's going to happen with Vanderbilt. Nevada's also a good team coming off a really good season last year. So you've got plenty of teams that could make a statement here to start a really good season. So I'm excited for this. There's no top 25 teams, but a lot of contenders for March here.
And Mike, I don't want this to come across as negative, but somebody does have to win this tournament. Somebody is going to leave with 3 victories, and they're going to be set up pretty well for the tournament in that.
Yep.
I mean, unless Seton Hall, if Seton Hall wins, they're still up against it for the tournament, but I think they're probably the 8th most likely team to win 3 games, maybe 7th. Maybe you can give them the nod over Drake, but still, somebody's going to win this tournament, and I think they're going to be in a really good spot after it.
I agree.
All right, well, that's it for the Charleston Classic. It gets underway tomorrow on the ESPN networks. It is a Thursday, Friday, Sunday tournament, so Saturday is off. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into this MTE preview. If you haven't checked out all the other ones, please do, and we'll see you next time.